Hello. Welcome to your daily astrology update, forecast, whatever you'd like to call it. This is daily astrology where we'll discuss the astrology today, any major transits or planetary aspects that we have to go over just for the next 24 hours. The weekly forecasts that are specific to each zodiac sign, sun sign, are all coming out Tuesday through Thursday. Scorpio, Libra, and Sagittarius is already up, so I hope you guys will go to see it. This is where we're just going to discuss and have a live chat. What's up, Susan? Have a live chat of the energy today, the energy that we have to go over, the astrology today, and we'll just have like a little live chit chat. Remember, if you have personal questions that you want to ask me, join the membership, and I will be happy to answer it for you. Today is March 14th. The moon is in Sagittarius. And the color of the day is gray. It is a receiving day. You see the little harvest day. Sometimes those are days that are a little bit harder for us to get motivated. And I think that just has to do with the fact that we shouldn't always be motivated. Sometimes we have to be in receptive modality. It's important to give and have those days of giving and receiving. That's how we keep our life and ourselves in balance, and that's how we support our overall health. So just an FYI. What's up, guys? Hey, Ruthie. Love you, sweet soul. Oh, what's up? Hello, Sparrow Goat. What's up, Ruthie? What's up? What's up? So I know some people are getting my notifications. I think all three videos have gone up: Scorpio, Libra, and Sagittarius. I hope they do well. I hope all of the tarot card readings do well as well. And we'll see. I hope it's not a crapshoot. We'll just gotta see. Gotta see. So let's talk about the astrology today. I think that's a good place. What's up, Trey? What's up? Happy P. What is PI Day? Oh, pi? Is it pi today? The pi, as in like the mathematical symbol? Does that mean we have to eat pie today? Because I'm fine with that. Just saying. If it is actually Pi Day, hold on. Let's go over the astrology of the day. What do you mean Pi Day? Oh, yeah, she's right. Pi Day. It's Pi Day. Pi to celebrate mathematics. But I heard food. That's all I hear. And I am so happy. 314. Gotcha. So happy to eat pie, to celebrate pie, but it's actually about mathematics. So happy Pi Day to you. Let's go over the current planetary placement. So we have a major square in the sky, and that major square in the sky, in my opinion, well, right now there's a square between the sun and moon. The moon is definitely square to the sun, and the sun and Mars. So Mars is at 24 degrees Gemini, and the sun is at 23 degrees Pisces. So that's a pretty tight square, absolutely. But then we also have the moon at 19 degrees Sagittarius, but the moon moves quickly. So yeah, there is a square right now between the moon, sun, well, the sun and the moon, and the sun and Mars. And that means that the moon and Mars are in opposition to each other. What does this mean? It just kind of means, yeah. It's that modality of not being able to get much done because you want to get too much done. And it's almost like, why isn't the world moving fast enough for me? There's also a sense of maybe you've been thrown a little bit out of whack. Your desires versus your reality, or what, not really knowing what it is you really desire, thinking you know what you want and you know what you're going after, but actually not doing those things. There's a little bit of incongruence there. So a square between the sun and the moon is always challenges between how you want yourself seen or how you are seen versus, your internal world and who you are, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually even. And then we have a square between the moon and Mars, which always creates tension. There's always a sense of I want to act fast. I want to act quickly, a challenge to how fast I can move, or am I behaving in a way that actually okay, am I behaving in a way that actually supports my goals and my purpose? Um, with the sun in Pisces, it's all about creativity. It's all about purpose and your God space. And with Mars in Gemini, it's all about taking action through words. And I guess right now we're not able. Maybe we don't know enough. Maybe we need to educate ourselves. Maybe we find ourselves at the very wit's end of the extent of our knowledge and what we can communicate, and we just need to have some patience to learn a little bit more. Patience is really not the name of the game when the sun is square to Mars, however. And with the sun square the moon, there can be a lot of contemplation today with regards to, am I who I want to be? Does the world really see me as my true person? Like, how aligned is my true self with my external self, and the self that I created and the self that I put on. Moon in Sagittarius is actually very fun energy. It's very playful. It likes to be excited. And I think right now, maybe it's not so exciting where the sun is. It can be, absolutely. And the moon won't last forever in a square to the sun. In fact, the moon is about to conjunct the sun on Tuesday of next week. I think it's the 21st, where we have a new moon. This is just basic. Yeah, it's the 21st. Moon cycles. We'll have a new moon in Aries. Yeah, because the sun will move into Aries on the 20th. But let's focus on today. What do we also have going on? There's another square here that they don't really mention. It's the square between Pluto and the nodes. Right now, Pluto is square. Pluto in Capricorn is square to Venus in Aries. That won't last for much longer. Last to the end of the week, because technically it will still be square when Venus drops into Taurus on Thursday. But the North Node is at 4 degrees Taurus, and Pluto is at 29 degrees Capricorn. And this does form a square. And that means that Pluto is actually square to the nodes. And I think that's the big square that we were talking about. And it's going to be there for a while. I think it's May that the nodes finally enter their new homes. They'll be entering Aries, and they'll be entering Libra for the next, I think it's 18 months, but that starts in May. Whew. The fact that Pluto is sort of sitting on the nodes right now, or just is right between the two nodes, is square to the nodes, is almost like I'm done with this shit. Like I'm like an intolerable need to ensure that things are changing in the right direction, and that the energies are being taken to move toward where you need to go. Pluto destroys, it wrecks, it's ruthless. It's not vengeful or hateful. It can be, but in general, it's pretty neutral. It's just it comes in like a wrecking ball. That's what it is. And I think what it is right now, serving up like a lot of karmic judgment on, have I tolerated something too long? Right. And if I have, because it's my comfort zone, it just needs to be cleared out. Like, I'm getting to a point, like if you've been feeling like you're getting to a point where you just can't tolerate the old shit that you used to be very tolerant of, that's what Pluto squaring the nodes is doing. It's just impacting you that way. It's a sense of, I don't want the old stuff. It's like the fear of the new stuff isn't as bad as me continuing to tolerate the old stuff. And that's sort of how Pluto was going to impact the nodes. All these planets have squared the nodes. They've just taken their turns squaring those nodes. So Pluto kind of stands to be the last of them to square the nodes before the nodes change. And it's just an interesting position at this point that so many of the planets over the past 6 months have squared those nodes. It's really a washing out period, a period of, okay, done enough with the old stuff. The stuff that isn't working, I'm not tolerating anymore. With Pluto, it really just is about dharmic wreckage, a sense of, okay, how are you, like, enough with this crap, enough with tolerating any of the old bullshit. Let's move on to the new stuff. Let's challenge yourself. Don't be afraid of the challenge. So that's my loose interpretation of it, but I feel like that's the big thing that's really taken over, and that is happening right now. I haven't got a chance to say, hey Holly, hey Carolyn, good morning to you from Springfield, Oregon. I hope all those chilly clouds bring rain, bring flowers and robust greenery. You're welcome so much. So sorry. Hey, Holly, sunny and cold here in Seattle. God bless you guys out there. Asparago. I have my moon in Sag. Moon in Sag is fun. Moon in Sag is fun. It needs excitement. It needs adventure. It needs to be constantly interested to feel fulfilled. And if you aren't fulfilled with a moon in Sag, it's because you're not exposing yourself to enough new things every week, every month, every year. It really does like to travel and journey, and you won't feel comfortable unless you do. Hi, Casglow. God bless. Just wanted to say hi to everybody. Let's get back to the chart. Okay, so what else do we have going on that's pretty intense? Well, we have the conjunction between Mercury, Neptune, and the Sun. Mercury is 21 degrees Pisces, Neptune is 25, the Sun is 23. It's dead in the center of them. I think this is a very strong conjunction, which means that the Moon is also square, and Mars is also square to this conjunction, since these planets are sharing energy with the Sun now. And what is that? To me, it was creativity. That's how I can sum it up. A sense of really understanding what you believe in, what's important to you, your faith system, as well as being inspired to create from it. Because when you connect with your God space, it inspires you. So, but there's some tension there. It's like you're going to remember who you were born to be, or who you always wanted to be, and the Moon is going to remind you of maybe what you haven't accomplished, and Mars is going to remind you of what you have, what you can do or what you can't do, and what's been getting in your way, processes and such. So interesting. I really like that conjunction. I think it's really intriguing. We also have the conjunction between Chiron and Jupiter, which is remaining at the middle of Aries. But Jupiter has become 15 degrees. It's not perfectly conjunct Chiron anymore. So it's moving forward. It's moving on. And I do feel like that's sort of the light at the end of the tunnel. If you were lost and you really didn't know which way to go, you really were in this sort of fog of, I don't know what I want anymore. That makes sense for the energy. Now we're coming out of that. We're starting to remember who we are, and maybe not be so afraid of what it really will take to get to that place, or starting to see the lines that connect us to who our life purpose, and connecting the dots from where we are, not where we wish we were, right? 7 degrees of separation, that kind of sense of where you are to where you want to be, starting to be able to see what you may need to do in order to get there. It doesn't mean that you're there. It just means that you're not afraid to look anymore. I do feel like this whole overwhelming aspect right now of more afraid of turning back than we are of moving forward toward something we're not sure of. But there's growth with Jupiter and Chiron, and now I think we're starting to finally feel, or get the opportunity to feel the expansion that comes from the struggle, that comes from the suffering. What have we learned from it? How can we use it? We're now starting to see the upside of this conjunction. And yeah, Venus is square to Pluto, so there could be a lot of definite changes when it comes to your romantic relationships and your finances. A sense of the wrecking ball coming in and finishing off anything that just wasn't working out. Pluto doesn't tolerate. Pluto doesn't tolerate. It's ruthless. It doesn't tolerate. So when it's square to Venus, there is just that sense of being intolerable. Whatever we've tolerated for too long, financially, romantically, in terms of value systems, it's crushing it. It's bringing that to the surface and confronting it and forcing you to decide and make some decisions that may not be comfortable, but they can't be ignored anymore. Venus square Pluto can also bring to the surface where we've been obsessive and where we've been obsessive and the toxicities that are in our relationships and perhaps a confrontation of those realities. We have the sun sextile, right? Hold on. The sun is at 23 degrees Pisces. Uranus is in Taurus. Yeah. So we have the sun in a loose sextile, really loose sextile to Uranus. Let me see what else is going on. Saturn, 0 degrees Pisces. Where is Saturn? Saturn is trine to Mars. So Mars is getting along with Saturn, and Saturn is also getting along with Venus because it's sextile to Venus. That's interesting because there's this little triangle forming between Venus. It's almost like, even though all this stuff is challenging you and coming to the surface, there is a sobering mindset that is going to make this an opportunity to fix, heal, and progress as by learning from things instead of just taking us down. Because Venus, there's a very solid mindset. There's a lot of opportunity when Saturn is sextile to anything. There's a lot of opportunity for getting things done and making the right moves, right? Maybe playing it by the rules, right? And then we have a trine to Mars. So there's just a sense of, we know what we're comfortable with. We know what we've set in motion. We know how that functions. We're certain of it. And there's a sextile between Venus and Mars. So there is a sense of whatever comes up, we may be able to put to practical use when it comes to our relationships. In other words, it's helpful. It may not be a whole bunch of destruction or doom or gloom. It could just be an energy that's helping us. So I would think today is a day to face your shit, not run from it. But acknowledge that the shit is shit, acknowledge that it is what it is. And through that acknowledgement, be like, okay, this isn't the best situation, but what can I do with it? What have I learned from it? And what can I use? What can I use? I have to start where I am. And that's what I like about the energy today. There is a sobering sense of, okay, so I'm not in the best position, but I do have to start from where I am. I can't wait to start when I'm in a perfect position. That actually probably helped to get me here. That fantastical mindset of, it has to look like this and then I'll begin. No, you got to begin from where you are. And part of that is accepting the imperfections of where you are and even the resources that you have, but start with what you have. And there's a real sober-minded sensibility right now that will use that energy to start with what you have to get to the next step and to be able to see the connectivity between where you are now, the next step, the step after that, the step after that, and how many steps you'll need to get to where you want to be. So that's actually a really positive aspect of today. All right. So let's see. Thank you, Andreo. God bless you for that donation. You're just the most special dude. I appreciate that. What's up, Claire? How are you? Then we have my little kid just side laughing. You said extremely okay. Yeah, so generous. So God bless you, Andrea. Thank you so much. Hi, Carol. How are you? It's nice to see you here. Yes, happy Tuesday to everyone. I feel like it's already Friday. When I start feeling like that, I know that I kind of need to go on a vacation. Yeah, it's just a little tough. I don't think I'll be able to take a vacation until December. Like, this year is just not the easiest of years for me. If you're on, please remember to give this video a thumbs up. That really, really helps. And then let's get into, we just went over the astrology for the day. And that's it. I will have an announcement on Thursday. There's just something that's coming up that I need to announce to you guys. There has been a major change about a major event, and so I'm gonna have I'll be announcing that on Thursday. First, I have to reach out to everybody involved, but there is a change. FYI, so stay tuned for that. If you guys have not yet subscribed to the channel, maybe you're watching this as a non-subscriber, thank you for taking a time to come on and even try out my videos. Please, if you've liked it, remember to subscribe and then ring that notification bell so that you'll know when I come live, because I come live at all different times over here. There's not really any set time that I come live over here. So the only way you'll know and be able to participate is if you are a subscriber, number one, and number two, if you know when I go live. So definitely ring that notification bell. I love that little hippo. It's so cute. The animation is adorable. Dyed your hair. Okay, cool. Like I said, there's always the option of being able to ask personal questions as a member of the channel. You can now join memberships for this channel. There is definitely still memberships over on Born Without Boundaries Tarot. That does not make you members here simply because the channels are not connected. I don't know really how to do that. Yeah. So anyway, if you'd like to ask personal questions, you find yourself wishing you could, then please do connect. And you'll also get access to little badges and little emojis that other people don't get access to. Yeah, if that's what you want. If not, I'm happy to take general questions. Absolutely. About the astrology right now. There's huge energy pools in Pisces and Aries. And by Thursday, we'll start the accumulation more toward Taurus. When is it that Mercury? I think it's next Tuesday that Mercury goes. No, it's Sunday. Mercury enters Aries at 12:24 p.m. Mercury is a lot happier in Aries than it is in Pisces. Mercury is challenged. It's a detriment. Yeah. No. Yeah, it's a detriment in Pisces. So Mercury will be much happier in Aries. I don't know how happy will be once Mercury goes into Aries, because Mercury in Aries tends to pop off and say things really quickly. And it's almost like court and short kind of sentences and communications, because Mercury in communication in Aries is far more physical, like physical expression. Could be intense, could be hot, could be pugilistic, could be more combative, all of those things. But I also think that's, I don't know, that's sort of where you begin, right? I don't think it's going to be a bad thing. Let's put it that way. Hi, Andrea. Michelle, this was just one of those days. I'm Pisces, Sun, Scorpio, Moon, rising. Oh, God bless. That's a real sensitive. That's a whole bunch of sensitivity every single day. Hey, Casglow, am I jumping ahead with Venus going into Taurus? What do you mean? What can we expect with that? Oh, no, Venus going into Taurus happens on Thursday. And what you can expect, well, Venus is at home in Taurus. So I equate that when a planet goes home to, it gets kind of lazy, it gets kind of lackadaisical, it gets comfortable, and so there's a peace about it and there's a harmony about it. She is very focused on finances when she is in Taurus. She's more focused on partnerships and long-term romances when she's in Libra. Venus gets really focused on finances and indulgences and value systems. So I think the energy change is most definitely from her Venus in Aries, which is very physical demonstrations of value. But I think when she goes into Taurus, it's more luxuriating. She's very much prone to overeating, overindulging, overspending, or having it pointed out to her where she's been doing those things. But she is happy. There is a joy. There is a sort of an optimism. Venus tends to be a benefic planet. So there's optimistic attributes or optimistic adjectives attached to how she impacts things. So when she goes into Taurus, there is sort of, maybe an optimism. Is it a true optimism? Or is it just her optimism, like being overly optimistic and spending what she doesn't have or something like that? Like Venus in Taurus is not the best time for people who need to tighten their purse strings. She is also, interestingly enough, heading into Taurus around the time when taxes are collected. So it could be, I don't know, it could be good for some people that maybe there's money coming in. There's more money to spend. I would say this, whether you're getting a tax return or not, if you're getting a tax return, watch how you spend it, because Venus in Taurus, she just wants to spend it on stuff that she enjoys. It's all about pleasure for her. Whereas, that could be stupid. That could be one of the dumbest things you could do. So that's just something to be aware of. As she enters Taurus on Thursday, she's going to conjunct the North Node. And I think that that's even more important, because you've had the North Node sitting in Taurus for a while, and now she's going to be conjuncting it. And that's, she rules Taurus. So there is a sense of getting at home or acceptance about where I'm headed, not where I've been, and there is a challenge there. Anytime you're conjunct the North Node, you're going to be challenged with stuff that is uncomfortable for you, but you are capable of. So I think she'll, in the first days when she's in Taurus, we'll be getting an education. We'll be becoming aware of what we are capable of, or how malleable we can be, how resourceful, we can be when it comes to confronting situations that we've never been in before, or situations that are complex and that we're really not comfortable with. It's almost like finding comfort in a discomfort zone, which I think is necessary. Yeah, and that's it. She won't conjunct Uranus for a couple of weeks, so we don't really have to talk about that now. Oh, Casclo, you're welcome. God bless you, sweetheart. I appreciate your donation. That's really sweet of you. Andrea, for the last 3 weeks, the numbers 333, 111, and 1818 keeps popping up everywhere. Well, first of all, I'll say this. There is a process in your mind. I don't know what it's called, but there's a process in your mind that once you focus on something and you tell your brain it's important because you've drawn your attention to it and you stay focused on it, your brain will keep finding it. So part of that is just finding repetition and patterning, which brains do. But I think initially when you saw those numbers, like the first time when you weren't paying attention to it, when it wasn't even in your mind, I would ask myself the question, what were you thinking about then, in that first moment when it came to your attention? Because it'll keep repeating itself now, because you gave it attention. And if you gave it attention, it's like positive feedback for your brain. Oh, it must want to look for these things, right? My human must want to look for these things. So think about the first time you were coming in contact with those numbers. What was happening? What did it mean to you? Stuff like that. That's actually kind of important, because I hear a lot of people, I keep seeing these numbers. You keep seeing these numbers because you keep seeing the numbers, because you're telling your brain, by focusing on the numbers, you're telling the brain that's important to me. So your brain is going to, even subconsciously, it's going to find those to draw your attention to it, because you're saying they're important. So you're giving it the importance most of the time. But I would say this, when you weren't looking, and it just snapped and it just sort of caught your attention the first time, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? What was your reaction to it? I think that moment is what you need to go back to and think, okay, what was trying to be brought to my attention? That's what I always ask when I see repetitive numbers. Yeah. Law of attraction, right? Financial and my partner, I don't think so it could be law of attraction, right? But there's actually a psychological term for it, that the brain does this. The brain if you pay attention, like if I pay attention to this pen, and I really focus on it, and it there's pleasure systems when I look at this pen. I'm like, oh, this is exciting, this is important, I want to focus on this pen. I would never lose my pens again, right? I would always be able to find one wherever room I went into, because I'd be teaching the brain, this is important, you want to look for it. But and we do that with the repetitive numbers. And that's why I always tell everybody, the first time you saw it, when you weren't thinking about it, when you hadn't seen it a dozen times, what were you thinking about? What was in your head then? Because that's really when the ether is trying to come through and say, pay attention to something, to pay attention to this. The fact that it keeps happening, I mean, I guess you could figure it. The fact that it keeps happening is, that there's something that you needed to pay attention to. And you're almost trying to remind yourself, what did I need to remind myself? What did I need to pay attention to in that moment, that first moment? It's like you're still trying to figure it out. So try to think back to when you started seeing them, to that moment, and you'll know how to focus on the importance is. Thank you for clearing. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. So my brain, who looks at the clock naturally, I don't know. When you look at the clock, do you get information that you think is important? Like, do you give the clock that kind of, oh, I need to, your brain will continue to look at the clock or look for things that you have agreed are important. And so if looking at the clock you give a lot of attention to and you put a lot of meaning in, then yeah, your brain will continue to have you look at the clock and keep drawing your mind back there. And so our focus really does determine our reality. It's those things that break your focus and sort of wake you up and make you, like, shake you awake and make you realize something has happened, that are really the teachable moments that are trying to either get your attention or tell you something is going on there that you need to pay attention to, that you haven't been paying attention to. That's what those signals are really trying to do, is get you to pay attention to something that you haven't been paying attention to. Not get you to pay attention to the freaking numbers or whatever meaning they're supposed to have, but to get you to pay attention to whatever the numbers tried to draw your attention to. It's like something is important here. Something is going on here. Pay attention to it. And I think a lot of times we miss the meaning of these numbers because we're so focused on the Google definition of what these numbers are supposed to mean. We're not looking close enough into that break from our routine, and what did it do to us, and what was it trying to tell us, and how was it trying to shake us awake. FYI. FYI. Anyway, I love our conversations, and thank you so much. God bless Casco. Thank you so much, Andrea, for your generous donations today. I appreciate that. I'm going to get offline, guys. I'm sure you are busy and have a lot to do today. I hope this daily chat has helped people and that you guys have enjoyed it. Some go longer than others, but I appreciate the time that we had to spend together. I will try to be on here tomorrow. Definitely check out the video. Scorpio, Libra, and Sagittarius. Your astrology readings for the week are up, and your tarot card readings for the week are up on Born Without Boundaries Tarot. So don't miss out on those either. Two, I think, congruent messages, but at the same time, astrology gives me insights that tarot doesn't, and tarot gives me insights that astrology doesn't. This may not be the same for everybody, but it's definitely how I am. So I hope you guys get to enjoy all of them. I love you so much. I unplugged my TV last week. I was just so sick of this big box taking up room. I never watched it. When I do, the news is negative. Good for you. Much love. Have a great day. Thank you, Casglow. God bless. You too. Good for you, Holly. Way to go. That's a bold move. We get so much news on our phones anyway. It's like if the TV is just taking up room. Good for you. I love you guys, and I hope you have an amazing, wonderful, exceptional day. Bye.